Okay, hello, happy Thursday. I want to welcome you guys to the March, I was going to say February, mentoring webinar series, The Impact of Mentoring on School Attendance, presented by Dr. Kelsey Dachman with the Center for Supportive Communities, and Tammy Potts. She is at USD 458 Basehor-Linwood, and she runs a mentoring program there. I am going to go ahead and share some information, some background about both of our speakers today. So Kelsey M. Dachman is a board certified behavior analyst at the doctoral level. She received her PhD in behavioral psychology and master's in applied behavioral science from the University of Kansas. Hey, Jayhawks. Dr. Dachman specializes in the prevention and treatment of challenging behavior, common for neurotypical children and teens, and infuses evidence-based best practices in communities to improve the behavioral health outcomes for these youths. Dr. Dachman is the founder and CEO of Center for Supportive Communities, an organization dedicated to using the behavioral science to create equal opportunities and meaningful change for children, families, and communities. She also is the director of the center's primary program, Support Ed, a community-based diversion program for truant students and their families, and a training site for undergraduate and graduate students seeking hands-on clinical experience. So Support Ed combines behavioral science, mentoring, and community collaboration to 1, re-engage students in school, 2, counteract missed academic, social, and emotional learning opportunities, and 3, prevent more severe and complex behavior that often precedes legal involvement. Dr. Dachman consults with organizations, service providers, and policymakers. She also teaches undergraduate courses at the University of Kansas. Thank you again for joining us today, Dr. Dachman. All right, and next we have Tammy Potts. She is one of our Mentor Kansas Advisory Council members. She began advocating for children in 1999 when she and another volunteer founded the Basehor-Linwood Youth Friends Program. This was the first time that all classroom volunteers were required to have background screenings, training, and orientation prior to working one-on-one in small groups or in classrooms within all the district schools. From 1999 to 2013, Basehor-Linwood Youth Friends received national and statewide recognition for its outstanding and innovative support of academics and alternative education. In 2013, under Tammy's direction, the local Youth Friends initiative became the Basehor-Linwood Mentors and CareCats program. And like I mentioned, Tammy is a statewide advisory member. Tammy is a graduate, 1979 graduate of Basehor High School, a 1981 graduate of Kansas City, Kansas Community College, and a 1983 graduate of the University of Kansas, another Jayhawk. She worked as a broadcast journalist for KMBC TV9 locally, as well as freelance for ABC News. She presently coordinates the Tutoring for Basehor-Linwood Virtual School academic support and also manages the district mentors and CareCats mentors. And thank you so much for joining us today as well. All right, I am going to go ahead and now pass this over to Dr. Dachman.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Dachman from Center for Supportive Communities. Thank you for joining us on this kind of rainy Thursday afternoon. I'm so excited to talk with you today about how communities and schools can use mentoring to improve school attendance, as well as social, emotional, and academic outcomes among children and teens. Our world is currently facing an educational crisis. Before the pandemic, over 8 million students were chronically absent from school, and this number has nearly tripled since the COVID-19 pandemic. New estimates show that 1 in 3 students are chronically absent. Missing just 2 days of school a month puts a child at risk of falling far behind in their learning, becoming socially isolated and withdrawn, abusing drugs and alcohol, dropping out of high school, and having problems that stem into adulthood like unemployment or involvement in the criminal justice system. Too many young people are out of school and are missing opportunities to develop the skills they need to be productive members of society. But mentoring can help. Students who miss school miss opportunities to develop relationships with stable and caring adult role models. Mentors help fill this void while also teaching critical life and social skills. Students who regularly miss school also miss important educational instruction and are typically far behind in their classes. A lot of times, students would rather stay home and risk legal consequences than feel embarrassed and overwhelmed from being so far behind in class. Mentors can help students catch up in their classes so they feel confident enough to attend and be in class. Mentors even help divert kids from the juvenile justice system. Students with mentors are less likely to engage in risky or illegal behavior and less likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. For all of these reasons and more, mentoring is foundational to Center for Supportive Communities' Support Ed model. Support Ed is a behavioral diversion program for truant students and their families. Truancy is a status offense or an offense that is illegal because the person is under the age of 18. When students have a certain number of unexcused absences, they can actually be subjected to court involvement. But the research shows that punitive action alone is simply not enough to get students back in school and can actually pull them deeper into the system. Instead, we need communities, schools, families to come together to address the underlying hardships causing a student to repeatedly miss school. This is exactly what we do in Support Ed. We pair our students with a caring adult mentor who provides stability, encouragement, supervision, and structure, and who helps counteract missed educational, social, and academic learning opportunities. Here are just a few of our Support Ed mentors. They truly are the backbone of our program. They are incredible humans who dedicate their time so that kids can have individualized attention and caring and stable adults in their lives who motivate them and expand their opportunities. Mentors are eligible to begin working with students once they pass their comprehensive training and competency assessment. And each mentor works individually with 1 to 4 students at one time. They facilitate one-to-one weekly meetings, conduct functional assessments, help families access community services and resources, teach skills, help with homework, bridge communication gaps between families and schools, and monitor and celebrate student progress. The first part of our Support Ed program is to understand why truancy is occurring. Our mentors examine the students' attendance to identify patterns and absences. They look at their grades, they read through school disciplinary reports if available, and they administer a questionnaire with the student, parent, and school representative to better understand the root causes of truancy. For example, is the student truant because they don't have transportation to school? Is the family homeless? Is it because the student is being bullied in school and stays home to avoid that person? Is it because they are so far behind in their classes and they're now just avoiding school altogether? Is it because they stay up all night texting their friends and are too tired to wake up in the morning? Or maybe they stay home during the day to take care of a parent or family member or work to help their family pay their bills. Maybe it's a combination of all of the above. This assessment process allows us to understand any traumatic experiences that the students have gone through in the past, and we use that knowledge to then help us create more trauma-informed interventions. So after we determine the why, we need to respond accordingly. We work with our mentors to design an attendance plan that is based on the results of the assessment and individualized to each student and family. We then train our mentors to implement evidence-based best practice treatment strategies that target the idiosyncrasies of each student and family. So for example, we provide families with bus passes so they can get to school. We provide families with alarm clocks. We create morning and bedtime routines. We teach students how to effectively manage bullies. We work with students on managing their anxiety and their anger. We provide homework help and teach them how to get organized and to plan ahead. We attend IEP meetings to help identify appropriate school accommodations. We work with parents on setting limits and implementing consequences, not only for attendance, but also for absences. And most importantly, we provide a stable source of support for students, families, and schools. Our mentors monitor attendance, behavior, grades, and the student's living conditions. They conduct a mental health check to ensure the student is mentally stable and engaging in healthy and safe behavior. Many students are struggling with their mental health. Some have suicidal ideations, some engage in self-injury, some resort to drugs and alcohol, and some are being abused or neglected at home. So it is absolutely essential that a trusted adult has eyes on the situation and asks those tough questions so that we can intervene immediately. Our mentors acknowledge and celebrate student progress and accomplishments. Every intervention we implement has a reinforcement-based component that is designed to motivate and reward the student for positive behavior. Now, this is an essential component of any behavioral program, but especially when you are working with kids who are out of school. If we want good behavior to continue, then we must reinforce that good behavior when we see it. So provide rewards for school attendance and celebrate progress. We also work with the family and school. When a student is absent from school, it is so important for us as a community to reach out to their entire family. We found that mentors can be a very stable source of support for families. For example, mentors can check in with families, help them understand attendance policies, show them how to navigate Power School, help them recover their password to Power School if needed. Mentors can help parents troubleshoot behavioral challenges at home by creating morning and bedtime routines, creating household rules and clear expectations related to attendance. Mentors also work alongside the school in a collaborative effort to help the student re-engage and troubleshoot behavioral challenges that are commonly observed when students first re-enter school after being gone for so long. Mentors also help to bridge communication gaps between the school and the family. Consistency is key when effectively managing behavior, so it is important that similar techniques are implemented across the school and home environments. It's also important to evaluate your impacts to determine whether your intervention is doing what you are wanting it to do, right? And that is, in this purpose, to increase attendance and decrease absences. If we find minimal change in attendance, then we have to go back to the drawing board to determine what other strategies do we need to put in place to help the student and family. It is also important for mentoring programs to have a very clear goal or set outcome criteria. So in support ed, we require each student to maintain 0 unexcused absences for 3 consecutive weeks on the program and with our intervention in place. We then gradually remove components of the intervention for 4 weeks while continuing to monitor attendance. We systematically fade our intervention and program components to increase the likelihood that the student's progress made during our program will maintain once our program is completely removed. So if the student maintains 0 unexcused absences during this 4-week fading process, then they will successfully exit the program and will be given a gift card and a graduation certificate. We inform the district attorney's office that the student successfully completed the terms of their truancy diversion, and they will officially dismiss the student's truancy case. However, if a student's unexcused absences increase when participating in our program, or if the student or their parent are refusing to comply with reasonable behavioral recommendations, for example, they are failing to show up to their weekly meetings, then we schedule a truancy review hearing with our assistant district attorney. And the hearing is a very informal setting. We are not in front of the judge at this point, and it's really just a time for everyone to come together to brainstorm other ways to help the student and family and make sure that the student is attending school on a regular basis. We talk about successes that we've experienced while working with them. We talk about some challenges that we've experienced, and then we make a recommendation to the assistant district attorney for how to proceed. One option is to file a child in need of care petition and have the family go in front of the juvenile court judge. Of course, this is exactly what we are trying to avoid through Support Ed in our diversion program, but some families do require additional support and oversight from the court. And once they are in the court, they do have access to additional services that could be very, very helpful, like individual or family therapy. Fortunately, an analysis of our program outcomes of 603 students who participated in Support Ed since 2008 suggests that our program does keep students out of the court system. For the majority of students who do participate, only a small percentage do end up with court involvement. And more importantly, our consumers are satisfied with our supportive services, and their happiness and progress are what keep us motivated to continue doing this very meaningful work. And of course, I could not end the presentation without talking about our extremely important community partners. We could not do this work without them, and we hope to continue to work collaboratively for many, many years to come. So thank you so much for your time. I know this presentation was brief, so if you do have questions, comments, concerns, follow-ups, please do feel free to email me directly at kelsey@supportivecommunities.org. I am happy to answer any questions or even help you start your own mentoring program in your community. But at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Tammy Potts to discuss the Basehor-Linwood Mentors and CareCats program.
Hello, I hope everybody can hear me okay. We just made it between the bells of the changing of the classes. So I feel like I've already started this off in a great way. I loved your presentation. I wrote down all sorts of notes. I loved it when you spoke about determining the why, because that's really why we exist. We started this as the beginning was Basehor-Linwood Youth Friends. And it was through the greater Kansas City and through Kansas as Youth Friends Kansas. And it was all funded by the Kauffman Foundation. And then when they changed direction in 2013, our school district, we continued on. And so we are Basehor-Linwood Mentors and CareCats. We do not have the Youth Friend name anymore, although it's basically the same thing, but just a different name. We welcome all of our community into our classrooms. We do it with a clear application. There is a background check screening, an interview, an orientation that's prior to placement. In that process, you'll see all the faces of retirees and fellow parents, grandparents, neighbors. We have been very fortunate that we have a youth core group of high school juniors and seniors. And throughout this presentation, you will see photographs of all of our mentors at work in our school district. It is supported, wonderfully so, with Governor Kelly's, her positive direction for mentoring programs in the state of Kansas, and also with Coach Snyder. Coach Snyder was one of the original co-founders of the Kansas Mentors, now Mentor Kansas program. And he and also Governor Sebelius were the two who spearheaded that. That is where we got our start. And it was done so because we wanted to find an alternative way of reaching out, discovering the why for why kids aren't in school and how we can continue to support them and keep them in school till graduation. We mentor to intervene, and then we mentor to succeed. This is a stat that Mentor Kansas came up with at the very beginning, and that number has sadly not changed very much, but 52% are less likely to skip a day of school if they have a mentor. I would love to see that number grow and grow and grow. It is the pandemic did, offer lots of challenges and changes. What we find now is that we have our mentors all going back into the buildings, gratefully so. Some do wear the mask and some don't. And it all depends. And we tend to work with each individual adult and with each high school student so that we can help kids where they are, wherever that might be. And that starts out at, we have preschool age all the way up to senior year. So as a mentor, I say CAPE's optional, but honestly, we have our homecoming parade, we have representatives who have put in a ton of hours, and so we spotlight them so other people get to know who they are. But so that's why you see the three on the right there. Those are actually, it's an adult mentor, and she's phenomenal. She's been reading with little ones for many years now. She's also on our Basehor-Linwood Education Foundation board, so she has really put her money where her mouth is. She is exactly the kind of mentor who makes a huge change in a school district. There you also see our CareCats who are, they had the top hours for service with little ones that school year. And we track that. We track that for National Points of Light. And I won't go over that a little bit here later on. Our high school mentors to middle school mentoring to elementary mentor, wherever you are in the district, we do try to do the one-on-one match first. And then we follow that with a small group, which can mean 2 to 5 kids. And then we also have, then after that, we do classroom rotation, which can be amazing to watch and to see how much of a difference that can make and how one mentor can help 28 kids in an hour, hour and a half. You would be surprised at the outcomes. It's a positive experience and really joyous. Our mentors can be anybody. They bridge the gap. And there's a long list right there of all the people who are in our school district right now who are mentors. And if you'll see on there, the last one, I would love to see is you. Please come sign up with us. I would love that. What does a superhero look like? We'll take a look at who we have across the state of Kansas. Now we have the Basehor-Linwood Virtual School, so we also work with kids across the state, and they come in our building, and they also are Zoomed, and we have that connection if they need academic support or if they just need a friendly person to talk with. You will see, we will identify the why, and we will run with that. You'll notice there we have, to the left, we have our mentor and mentee who were chosen one year, and they got to be introduced at the halftime one of the football games out in Manhattan. It was really cool. There in the center, a retiree from math, and she has been working with a young lady who's going to graduate this year, and she's phenomenal as well. You see our CareCats, who are high school juniors and seniors. It's a youth corps, and they have anywhere from 2 semesters to 4 semesters where they can work one-on-one, small groups, and classroom rotation. And that is actually a class that we created. So they get 0.5 credit, but all their hours go to National Points of Light. And then we are able to turn those hours in. And we also have reciprocal agreements with local colleges and universities so they can use those service hours when they go into college. Sometimes they are needed to have certain service hours. And so I've already got those reciprocals. So this program, even though it's a junior senior program and there's that service in high school and they're all working, in the classrooms during the actual school day, they can use those service hours. And so that's a huge benefit for us. You'll see us, our students, they Zoom one-on-one, you see there. That was during the pandemic, but it's also still very much the same process we go through now when we set up a one-on-one Zoom and we work with kids on their math. And we use the whiteboards. We also use the $5 boards you can pick up at the dollar store, whatever it takes, to make that student on the other end understand a problem. In the center, you'll see we have in all of our classes we'll have that small reading group. This gives the kids an opportunity to talk about some really important things, and it gives our kindergarten through third grade focus more of an intense presentation. You will see a CareCat on the hour in every classroom in our district. So at any time, if you were to take a tour, this is what you would see. We have our high school juniors and seniors. They are recommended, they are screened, they are trained prior to placement in all the schools and all ages, and I monitor pretty closely. They actually report to their teacher, and then they report back to me. This is an anti-bullying risk management interventive program, interventions, what I should have put, program designed to have exemplary peer role models in the classroom. Peer models, that can be, you know, from a 4-year-old who is working in a 4-year-old class to all the way up to our juniors and seniors who are working with kids of all ages, including peer modeling in junior and senior year with other juniors and seniors who are struggling. And so whatever it takes to get us to our goal, that's what we work for. We say mentor me, and that's because I actually created a rap. And so that was my tagline in it. But these are all of our CareCats who you'll see there to the left. That is actually the year before the pandemic. And then to the right, you will see during the pandemic. I didn't lose anybody, and I gained volunteers. Take a look at those heart pictures. That's typically what we do for the yearbook, and it runs the gamut. Right now I have almost 150 CareCats in our program. I don't have a picture here of the 125 active adult mentors. I'd love to get them in a heart picture one day, and I will. This is how we get the word across to all the kids as to who they're working with. It's so important for the little ones to understand who is this person who is my mentor? What is a mentor? How is it that they're going to help me? So we have an actual poster contest to celebrate mentors. And it's an exhibit that runs through the school district, and it's actually all created by children. And so every year I will have a different theme, and this is the year, you'll see the posters there were the year that we did the Mentor Me, which was really great because it gave kids an understanding of they were the ones to be the friend in the process, that they were the ones to be mentored. And I love that. So I've been doing this quite a long time, and our high school kids now, they will tell you in a heartbeat that they were in first grade, second grade, fourth grade, all the way up, and they had CareCats. And that's one of the big reasons why they went ahead and decided to sign up for CareCats here in the high school. Usually they come in and they really want to get involved. They want to get signed up at the end of their sophomore year. Every school in our district participates. So these are just some of the faces I wanted to point out here to the left. So you see that really tall volunteer. You can't tell she's tall, but she is. And she's got that snowy, beautiful white hair. Well, over there on the far right side, she went from second grade at Linwood Elementary with one student all the way to graduation, and that's him in cap and gown. And that was a phenomenal relationship. You will see CareCats in every building and out on the playground, and usually they go through with centers as well. You'll see us hiding behind Happy Bear mask or reading out loud during the counselor session, and they read about good character. They try to focus on leadership, service, also character, and scholarship. And scholarships are what we do give out to our high school graduating seniors who've been CareCats, and they have made a lot of magic happen. So we do our best to return that. This is a leadership class over at the Basehor-Linwood Middle School, one of our CareCats leading through that. Glenwood Ridge, you can see some of these photos are not from the pandemic. These are actually, you know, some kids nowadays still have the mask. And so I have my CareCats, if another child is wearing one, I ask them to also wear one. So no one feels out of place that way. Basehor Intermediate, again, they're working one-on-one. They go table to table, and they just try to get to know every single kid. and they get to memorize names because that's so important. In our early learning center, the little wee ones, this is newborn all the way to 4 years old. And so right before they do kindergarten roundup. So this is our early learning center, and our CareCats have to go through a whole lot more hoops, but the benefits are amazing. The students that we've sent through there, they end up in nursing programs or early childhood education programs. So it's been a wonderful learning process for us too, on how this can make magic happen even at the little ages. This is the National Points of Light. So all of those mentors that you see working in classrooms, and it doesn't matter if it's a high school kid or if it's an adult, these hours are all turned into the National Points of Light. And so it's gold, silver, or bronze, and each one of those comes with an award. And it's a wonderful way for our seniors, when they go to graduate, we have them wear their medals when they do what we call our grad walk. And this is where they dress in cap and gown, and they go through all the elementaries that they've been mentoring at. And I want you to know, I have kids who are signed up in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. They're already asking, can I be a CareCat? Because guess what? This is what makes a change. A kid sees this, and all of a sudden the buy-in is there. And that's what you have to have. You have to have the energy to make this happen. I mean, look at the faces. They're so proud of their CareCats. And these are all the CareCats that they knew. These are theirs from their classroom. That's such an honor for both ends of the spectrum. So there you see a CareCat in the center, and you see the National Points of Light gold. That means that she's had over 250 hours. To the right there, that gentleman, he's going into education, and he's wearing his actual medal that he received from National Points of Light. So we allow them to wear these during graduation, commencement ceremonies, and it is a fantastic way to kind of get kids not to drop out, because guess what? They already are looking up at a high school student who has made a difference in their life, and they too want to do the same thing. They want to succeed. They want to graduate. We try our best to get our Discovery Space Nights going. Several years ago, through the Kansas Volunteer Commission in Mentor, Kansas, we were able to get a grant that was fabulous through AmeriCorps, and it brought more STEM kits into our school district. It was wonderful. So we have a lot of Discovery Space Nights, and we make a point to bring all of our mentors, and they can be all ends of professional to, the laborer who wants to come in and discuss how things are built, how they design things. And it's a wonderful opportunity for the kids to get a head start on what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to be? We also engage everyone in our community. So our mentors and our mentees, they all get out there together. We have on Earth Day, we do a community cleanup, and it is a way to kind of, regenerate the idea of staying involved, and how it goes to, when you have the why of why kids aren't involved, why kids choose to stay home rather than to get up and to go out there. It kind of comes back to this. We care to make them care. We want them to join in. We want them to be engaged. Lastly, National Points of Light. Yes, we're approaching the Global Volunteer Month. And anyone who's out there, please reach out to me. I would, gladly talk to you about this program. I have really enjoyed listening about the truancy changes that Dr. Bachman had included. That's such a fascinating thing to understand, how it all matches, it supports one another. So you want to be the person you needed when you were younger, and that's what a mentor truly is. And then I will turn it right back on over, if that's okay here. Maybe I'll stop sharing. Okay. Thank you.
All right, I want to say thank you so much to Dr. Kelsey Dachman and Tammy Potts for wonderful presentations today. So much information shared, and it just really shows how both of you are invaluable resources to your communities and to the state of Kansas. So thank you so much for sharing your information with us today. Right now, if anyone would like to ask any questions, make any comments, please feel free to unmute and jump on in.
Kelsey.
Hello there, AmeriCorps friend.
Yes, I have a question for you. So when you were talking about what you guys were doing, then it sounds a lot like your volunteers or your mentors are like a combination of social worker and counselor kind of thing. And so my question is, are you recruiting mentors from places that, you know, the people want to be social workers and counselors, or is that how that works? So that, because that's like a lot.
Good question. So before we were support ed, we were actually the KU Truancy Prevention and Diversion program that operated through University of Kansas for, I think, 45 years up until May of 2022. And we were a practicum, an undergraduate practicum, where students would enroll in our class. They were required to do a senior year, 2-semester long practicum experience. And if they were in the area of youth development and juvenile justice, then they worked with us in our truancy program. So the whole basis of the program was structured to be a learning training site for students, young professionals who are interested in going into that area or a similar area.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes really good sense then.
Yep. So we definitely take advantage of our University of Kansas that's right in our neighborhood, and we try to recruit as many mentors as we can that can also get course credit for their experience.
Very good. And then Tammy, I have a question for you also. So your CareCats that are the juniors and seniors, do you ever have some that have requested to be CareCats that haven't, or that have not been the best role model maybe, but then would like to try out being a CareCat? And if so, then how do you weave that in so that they are successful?
That's a really great question. And in the beginning, we focused just strictly letting like the National Honor Society students apply and people who had above like a 3.5. And what we learned in the process is that it needs to be open to everybody. And what I found was our young people who may have been really troubled early on, and have they, you know, improved? Have they given themselves that opportunity to make some changes? I completely will sit down with them, and they know going into it that this is completely an opportunity to show everybody, including that elementary teacher that maybe, you know, remembers how they were in second grade. And it gives them an opportunity to redeem themselves, but it also, they're all going to be parents more than likely. So this is an opportunity too for them to really understand, you know, how children are so important in our lives, and that they, you know, I've had kids who come in saying, I don't like kids. And then I'll say, okay, well then I'm going to give you a trial and you can work with, and I'll set that up, and I'll only give them a trial basis, and then we'll monitor it. And every time they will go, oh, I don't know what I was thinking. This is fun. So that's usually how it comes about, you know. But I do try. We did steer away from strictly focusing on one certain criteria. We opened it up, and I'm glad we did, because it not only allows people the opportunity to change, but it also allows people the opportunity to do, you know, to do better. to succeed. And that's going to benefit the community.
Mhm. Okay, very good. Thank you.
That was
You're
such a good question. I want to piggyback off of that a little bit. So I think too, Tammy, if you are only doing that certain criteria, then you're missing possible mentors who have similar lived experiences, a lot of the kids who are missing school or out of school. And I think that is really where a mentorship can be extremely powerful, is when you've actually been through a lot of the similar hardships that some of the kids are going through. And if you can show them how you've worked to come out of that and really used a social support system, I think that is a really, really good message to send to the younger kids. I love your program. I have everything written, so much written down too. I have another question for you too, with the classroom rotation. What does that look like? That's very interesting.
Well, the classroom rotation's one that, you know, in the very beginning, I would have the elementary teachers who were open to having a mentor or a CareCat mentor come in their classroom. We would go at specific peak times. So from like 9:20 to 10:20 is, you know, they're doing all their core reading, or they may have a math time and it's from 10:20 to 11:20. And so I would focus certain groups where the mentor was comfortable, but we also would place, looking at what all is going on in the classroom, the arrival of kids who are coming in late, trying to see if we could get them to come in earlier. That kind of plays to the importance of being able to get to know them and have relationships established. But we would look at the entire day, and we would look at the exact time where we could match and it could be beneficial. We also looked at the other end of the spectrum, which is some of the parents who, you know, they request help for their kids, they request a mentor, they request a CareCat, and they go in. And so there are times when the child will not want that complete focus on them one-on-one. And so what we have is we have the classroom mentor go in. The classroom mentor will, like for instance, in kindergarten, that mentor will sit down and they will, they'll have like the read aloud books. So we get that opportunity of the small books where the sight words are being read out loud. And that mentor will read with every single child in the classroom. But at the same time, that same mentor will hone in on the one child who, you know, we've had a request from the parent or the principal or the teacher or the child, which is amazing to have a child know what a mentor is and to request one. That's powerful.
Cool.
Powerful.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
And
they rotate the entire room.
Wow. Very cool. How do the teachers must love having that extra support in the classroom?
Oh, yes. We always have an abundance of teachers who would love to have that extra. It's not just the extra support. It's also kind of the extra boost, because they're coming in there, they've got a smile on their face, they elevate the mood very quickly. I'll tell my CareCats, if you've had a bad day and you've had a huge test, don't take it into the classroom. When you go to the elementary or the middle school, remember, they're looking forward to seeing your face. And so that is, it's a great learning curve for everybody involved, because when they do come into the classroom, those children are looking at them, and I don't care what age, they're watching them, they're seeing if they like to be there, they're judging it kind of in their own way. But that classroom rotation can differ too, depending upon the teacher and the teacher's needs. Specifically, we will gear the mentor. I may have a retired math teacher who will ask to be placed in a math classroom. Or I will have someone, for instance, I had an engineer who asked to be in an engineering classroom. So it kind of runs with, we match the opportunity to the right mentor. And that has kind of been our steadfast plate that we always went back to when we look at what we need to do with the kids or where they need to go to. Have you not heard about the classroom rotation? Is that a new one?
For me, at least, yes. I'm this is fascinating. I applaud your program, but also the school district for being so supportive of this model and giving you the resources
They
hopefully
are.
that you
They're
need
great.
to have this running, because I think, I mean, just as it is so important to work with kids who are not in school and get them into school, once they get into school, that's where we see a lot of problems happen, because I mean, they're so used to not being in school. So if they had a mentor during the school day, just to kind of supplement what we're doing already outside of the school, I think that would be very powerful.
And there's so many people who are willing to do it, especially if, we talk to them about that 1 hour of commitment during the school week. Most times though, they'll stay, for a couple hours, or they'll even add another, time of visit coming back to the classroom. On our Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have, because of the truancy issues, we have a program here where we have our seniors who have been at risk. We work with them one-on-one in small groups, and they have the extra teacher support that comes in, and they are all kids who have classes within our virtual school, although they are our high school, they are all designated as our high school kids, our seniors. And so we have kids who are basically fast-tracked. Instead of fast-track to drop out, they're on a fast track to graduate early. And that's where we look at trying to hone in and bring in mentors for specific graduating seniors, just to see if they need that extra support. And sometimes, and I love what you said most of all about the families. You said it I make sure I write it down. It was communities, families, and families, and schools, that the three are partners. And one thing that we have had is, if we can get the parent to buy in that their student needs to be here no matter what, that's the critical key. Because when they go to graduate early and they realize that their child's not a statistic and yet, has a diploma in their hand, that's where the benefit of everything we've done that says we're doing it right. And we still have way too many kids who I worry about. I don't want anybody to fall through the cracks. I would love to have more mentors. You can never have enough mentors.
Never can have enough.
Well, this is some really good stuff, ladies. Like I love the organic conversation that's taking place right now, and being able to see the two of you have these conversations. I knew this was going to happen though. As soon as I met you, Kelsey and Tammy, I just knew this was like a match made. So again, I'm like, man, this couldn't have gone any better, if I had dreamt it. So for the sake of time, I wanted to run through a few more things with you guys. But again, thank you so much, and for offering your information and being a resource, and hope that we can get some people connected with you guys that may have questions around your programs. So moving along, any other thoughts before I move on? Okay. All right, so just real quick, I wanted to just remind everyone about our 2023 webinar series. And of course, mine mentoring webinars are the first Thursdays of each month at 1 o'clock. And I just encourage people to share this information out to whomever, and get people registered to attend. We also have volunteer engagement, and those are hosted by Haley Matherly. She is our volunteer engagement coordinator here, second Tuesdays of every month at 10 a.m. And then Dr. Jessica Dorsey, she is hosting the civic engagement webinar series on the third Friday of every month at noon. So please, please, please share these out, because I think that we have some wonderful information to get out there. And of course, they're all recorded. So, we can definitely get information out to people if they're not able to be there at the time. So. All right, real quick, we have some mini grants that are happening this year as well. I wanted to let you know that the Youth Civic Engagement one is going to release towards the end of this month, and We have the information available up on our website, but just some background information that says that research shows that youth civic engagement is critical for a variety of reasons. Youth engagement can lead to increased academic performance and improved social emotional well-being. It builds safe and inclusive school and community cultures and decreases dropout rates. When young people develop healthy civic habits, skills, and commitments, they become more active in community decision-making, leading to broader representation and community benefit. To support this purpose, the Kansas Volunteer Commission, which is a Kansas State Department of Education program, announces the availability of grant funds to support the civic engagement of youth in grades K through 12. For this grant, applicants may engage in youth civic engagement projects and/or provide training to volunteers, staff, or students to support youth civic engagement. So again, the grant application period opens on March 27th. And if you have any questions, feel free to email volunteer@ksde.org. And we are taking registration for the Give Back Kansas Challenge, which is an 8-week challenge running from April 17th through June 9th to engage Kansans in employer-supported volunteering, both during and outside the workday. You can find more information. There's a link on that slide, or you can go to CanServe, which is KANSERVE.org, and then click on the Take Action link in the banner for more information on that. And so our next mentoring webinar is going to be on trauma responsive practices in mentoring. And our speaker is Dr. David Stevens. He's the Director of Neuroscience and Trauma Programs at Tabor College. So we're looking really forward to having him speak to that. And that is, again, our next webinar in April. I can't believe we're already talking about April. Wild. All right, and ways to stay connected, of course, is at our website. You can also sign up for our monthly newsletter by emailing volunteer@ksde.org. You can invite any of us to present, and I'm myself, Haley, Dr. Dorsey, and we also have Kate Emerson, who runs our AmeriCorps program. And then also follow us on social media. If you're into Twitter, we have Facebook and Instagram, and we're also on LinkedIn. So find us and yeah, engage with us online. So I probably really didn't do a good introduction of myself, but here's my contact information. My name, Tierney Kirtdoll, and I would love to hear from you guys if you have any questions or want to find out more on how Mentor Kansas can support your programs. So with that being said, thank you again for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one, guys. All right,
Thank you,
take care.
Tammy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.